Greetings, folks. I know, I'm behind, and I got yelled at by Casey and Eric over on the Not Funny podcast, Off the Reels. So, yes, we are going to play catch up. So, just a little housekeeping advance. We're going to finish out series one by the beginning of next week. So, by this time next week, we will be done with series one and moving on to series two, I promise. So, let's get into Not Funny Guys presents Red Dwarf Rewatch, Episode 4, Waiting for God. This is directed by Ed By, written by our creators Rob Grant and Doug Naylor. So, briefs. Oh, before I get into that, released 7th of March 1988. So, this goes way back. Summary. So, Red Dwarf stumbles upon a garbage pod. We don't know that at first. Rimmer is convinced that it's aliens in a stasis capsule. Uh, and then we go deeper into the cat's whole evolution and the relation that from him, these Felis sapiens, they have basically developed an entire mythology around Lister in the 3 million years since he saved their founder of the race, Frankenstein. It's absolutely lovely stuff and makes for a wonderful little recap of getting into this. Right off the bat, to clarify things from the last episode, we get our usual Holly SOS message bringing us up to speed, and we learned that Lister faked, I repeat, faked, passing the chef's exam. So we now find that Rimmer is going through, I guess, the crew's confidential files. He's pulling up reports that belong to Captain Hollister, and he asked it to tell him about Lister, and he finds Lister is just the remarks, and he finds he totally agrees with him, and then he pulls up his remarks and finds out that Captain Hollister hated his guts, and he's just making himself upset, noting particularly in the fact that he took the engineer's exam 11 times and failed all of them. They find the unidentified object. Lister is continuing his general slobbiness, which I always think is just part of his character. He is now also taking in the cat, has brought him some of his books, which apparently are all smell books. He's bringing him like third grade level books, though. It's like, see Dick run, see Jane fall. It's absolutely hilarious. They get the unidentified object, like I said. They basically going to take it in. And Lister, Rimmer is super excited about this. The toaster gets turned down again to offer toast to Lister, and he's having a bit of an existential crisis. Like I said, the Dick and Jane book, 3-year-olds, that the cat gave him. Lister explains the stains on his shirt to Rimmer at some point, continues to be furious when he learns that it's hit one of his old shirts. And of course, like Rimmer says that he fully believes that there's more life in the universe, and Lister does not. So there's this whole thing. And the cat himself is now out on the prowl, looking for food, of course, using his little nose. Almost has a fight with Rimmer over something shiny that the cat found. It turns out to be a yo-yo. And then, of course, he goes to see Lister, and he brought him the holy books. This one has pictures, which the cat claims they've invented. Lister realizes that their god, Cloister, is him. And they show pictures of him, Frankenstein, and he says to him, I am your god. Cat does not believe him, basically 3 million god, and said, if you're God, why that face? Lister asks Holly to help him translate the book. Lister and Rimmer then go to see the pod. They picked up, basically, we now learn that they've been traveling together for 18 weeks. Just them. Lister breaks quarantine and then pretends to die when he finds the pod. Rimmer has served for basically 15 years. We find that out. And Lister only 8 months in terms of their time before the 3 million year jump. Lister quickly figures out that this is an old garbage pod because Rimmer never worked in waste disposal. And he decides to let Rimmer go on investigating it as a lark. Rimmer then, you see him dictating, and he keeps auto-dictating commas, and Holly even calls him out for it, which is absolutely the best. Rimmer wants to believe, like, let's just get into this. Rimmer wants to believe so bad. He's a conspiracy theorist. He even makes a joke about the pyramids, the Bermuda Triangle. He believes in a grand purpose, and Lister basically doesn't. Lister sees humanity kind of like a growing virus growing on Earth, not far from Mr. Smith in The Matrix. So Rimmer, of course, like I said, believes in aliens, hopes they will give him a new body, and he's like saying, "Imagine making love to a woman with 6 breasts, and then imagine making love to a woman," just indicating how low on the scale of, you know, life Rimmer is. Lister then goes to have his breakfast, which is apparently chicken vindaloo and beer flavored milkshake. I don't know. Ugh, gross. They finally start translating some of the things. Apparently, Fiji, which they cats called Fushal, was their idea of heaven. So it makes sense. There were also holy wars over hats. So the last ones left, basically after the holy wars, took 2 arcs from the ship to find Fushal. They were apparently guided by Lister's laundry list, which they mistook for a star chart. Sorry. One arc was lost and basically fell into a nova or something, and the others went on assuming they were the righteous, and only certain people left behind. Lister is realizing that religion is just being used in this new one that he apparently started accidentally, just being used to be crappy to each other, to which the toaster says, "What else is new?" I put that to you, audience. Lister tells this to Rimmer. Lister hates being misquoted in a religion he's kind of complaining about, but Rimmer doesn't care. He's still obsessed about these supposed aliens he thinks are in the pod. He calls them the Quagars. And they do this whole science versus religion thing. Lister goes to find the cat in the cargo decks, where Holly apparently can't monitor. Cat has gone down to an old cat sanctuary where there is an elder still there. And the cat is not listening to the blind priest, who is losing his faith, and Lister, playing cloister, comes to him. The cat lies to the blind old man and give him back his faith, which was his hat that he claimed to destroyed. It's very little touching, to let the man die in peace. Because then we find out that the ones left behind were the sick and the lame, and the cat was born a cripple and an idiot. And then, of course, the old priest dies, but he has his faith back. Rimmer finally gets the pod open with Lister's aid, and it's a rotten rotisserie chicken that he finally realizes is a garbage pod. But like I said, absolutely hilarious little episode. I love the whole science versus religion bit that they get into. The whole idea of whether conspiracy theories, whether there's a great plan. It's all microcosm in what is basically a silly little episode. But some great little quotes. Fun episode. So just to remind you guys, like, subscribe, follow. Like I said, we're going to try and get back on track here with the schedule. I'm going to get this one, and I should have episode 5. By the time you're seeing this, episode 5 should be out later this week, and we will have episode 6 next week. And then we will start turning our attention to series 2. I'm hoping to get back on a regular schedule now that all my vacation is over in the summer here. So in the meantime, like I said, like, subscribe, follow along. Check out other podcasts. If you want to hear me getting chewed out about this, you can check out Off the Reels podcast, where we talk about movies. We're currently just moved off the John Wick series, and we're doing comic book movies or characters based on comic book movies that aren't necessarily Marvel. So we're going to be covering the new Superman and the new Fantastic Four. You should be able to find the new Rocketeer episode up, and we're going to be doing Spawn as well. Some older school films that we hadn't gotten around to, and some newer ones that are just coming out this summer. So please check those out. We also have Wrestling with the Horror of It All, where Casey mainly subjects Eric to the tortures of watching horror movies and then talking about wrestling. And then over on Thinking About Thinking, Dr. Kristen, our not funny gal, and I are talking about other stuff, academics. We have episode 9, which is out now, where we basically talk about fashion and gender roles and representation by performance and different gender dynamics. So fun. And then you can check out episode 10. Those come out on Thursdays. So in the meantime, please, like I said, like, subscribe, follow, comment, tell us about things. Tell us things you may want to watch, because when I'm done with Red Dwarf, I'm going to be looking for ideas, because I have not formulated one, but we've got a little ways to go. But in the meantime, keep it not funny, and I'll see you then.